I'm Jason with Born Handy, and I'm doing kind of a selfie style video. We wanted to talk about the pond update. Now, you're seeing behind me here with the pond, we are at roughly 3 weeks and 2 days, maybe 3 days, I forget exactly, since we have taken a pretty dramatic step to get some water in the pond. But that's actually not what this video is about. This video is about some of the additional steps that we took on the way to here, the success or failure that I had with those steps, and maybe if you're building a pond, it'll kind of help you from not spending money in places that won't go anywhere. One of the problems that we had here with digging this pond was it really wasn't in the best location on the property in terms of the lay of the land. What I mean by that is it wasn't in the absolute lowest portion of my property. As a matter of fact, the lowest portion of the property was pretty heavily forested, and I really didn't want to cut down any of the big mature trees and put a pond there. For one, that would have been an additional cost, and for two, I wanted to preserve as many of the big mature trees as possible. In fact, on the property that doesn't have trees, we were looking to plant even more trees. And so it really kind of came down to, this was an open area already. It was fairly low on the property, and although we did have some drainage going to the pond, I did have a fear early on that there may not be quite enough drainage and that there would be some changes we would have to make to get more drainage from the property to the pond, and that is what this video is about. The driveway of the property splits off, maybe 2 acres of property, and that 2 acres is the highest property that I have. And so losing that 2 acres of drainage to the street out in front of the house was not helping the pond at all. Anytime we would have big rain events, you could go out and on the uphill side of the driveway from the pond and watch probably hundreds upon hundreds of gallons per minute of water just rushing out to the street and entering the drainage system. Well, for one, that's not a good thing for me because I needed that water in the pond. For two, I would really like to see that water recharge the groundwater as opposed to rushing out and catching drainage ditches and just be flushed away. And for three, I was really ready to put some fish in the pond, and I knew that the amount of time that it was going to take to fill the pond would be dramatically reduced if I could get that water from the drainage into the pond as opposed to other methods. So what we've done is we've essentially brought in a mini track hoe, and we used skill saws with diamond tip blades, and we cut a path through the asphalt of the driveway, scrape that up with the track hoe, and put down I want to say it's an 8-inch culvert, might be a 6, I can't remember, but it's one of these plastic culverts that you can drive over. They're rated for the weight of the vehicle and everything. Reburied that and put gravel on top, drove on that for a few weeks to let the gravel pack down. Then we went back with an asphalt pack and just manually packed that down with those asphalt pack, I don't know what it's called, like an earth packing type hammer. Boy, did it ever make a big difference. What had previously been a significant rain event that may give me 4 or 5 inches of water increase in terms of depth was suddenly giving me a couple of feet. So yeah, it made a tremendous difference. That's the good news. The bad news is it wasn't enough. Now, one of the things that I said early on is that, hey, ponds around here tend to hold water. We have mostly red clay. Turns out that wasn't entirely true, and I have a little bit of egg on my face over that. Some ponds around here hold water very well, and other ponds around here won't hold water at all. As a matter of fact, here's an example of 2 ponds that are within walking distance of one another. One pond actually up higher holds water, and the other pond down lower won't hold water at all. And presumably these should be the same soil types. New ponds don't hold water as well as mature ponds, so that was a concern. What we were seeing was evaporation rates were maybe anywhere from 1/2 to 1/4 of an inch a day, where the pond was losing anywhere from 2 to 3 inches per day. So that was being lost not through leaks in the dam, but through seepage in the soil. As a pond matures and organic matter builds up in the soil lining the pond, that organic matter helps to seal the pond as well, along with what we just call a bio-slime. And in order to develop and maintain that bio-slime, you have to keep water in the pond. Every time the pond dries out, you were starting over from almost scratch. I say almost because there is still organic material left in between the little grains of soil in your pond, even if the pond dries out, but the bio slime is lost each time. We did do the culvert. It was a big help. Whenever you go to place your pond, you may consider knocking some trees down, things that you didn't necessarily want to do, to be in that lower portion of the land, because I knew this going in. I knew it. I don't know why I'm telling it to you, because the truth is you probably know it too. The amount of runoff that you get into your pond, a little bit of extra runoff can make a huge difference in how well the pond fills up. This was not the most dramatic video, but hopefully it did help you see one of the mistakes that we made early on in pond placement, and probably not having this drainage cut early on in the process. So if you're enjoying this series, I hope to see you in the next video. And until next time, this is Jason with Born Handy.